We're here with Dia and Pam to my right, Dia to my left. They're with Chiang Mai University, involved with a forestry program associated with this forest here, which is part of the UNESCO biosphere. It's a biosphere site, and it is called Mesa Coma, which is part of the national park called Doi Sutet. We're here at one of their project sites where in this vast national park forest area of Doi Sutet, similar to other national parks around Thailand and other countries around the world, you have a situation where people who live around it, usually poor people, will deforest the land, generally so they can cultivate cash crops, sometimes to for the logging, to sell the log or for their own use. And you have conflict between preservation of nature and the necessity of the local people to make a living. And as well as an issue, in this case, of nature and biodiversity. So today, Dia and Pan have brought us here. Tell me, Dia, what's the name of this village we're at?
Ban Mae Chiang Mai is the name of the village.
And I understand, Pan, there's about 1,750 people living here?
That's true.
And you rely on them for your project, for some of the planting and the maintenance, yeah? How long has this project of reforestation? I understand what's happened here is that the government has come to some agreements with the local community, and whereby it assists them to find alternative, basically to coordinate the crop that they will plant to make their living, and as well as to give up some of the land that they've deforested, to give it back, if you will, to the national forest and to reforest. And about how many rai, the measurement of land here is a rai, which is about half an acre. How many rai have you reforested?
About 150 rice.
Dia, tell me a little bit about the indigenous tribes that live around here and the ones that live in this particular village, please.
Mm-hmm. The villagers that live here, they call Hmong people, and they live here for more than 40 years ago. Most of them moved from China, and then they established along Mekong River, like you said. And Hmong people here is the same situation, it's the same thing. We have royal project here to support the villager to grow the right vegetation, which they can earn themselves without the drug plant here.
Tell us about where we are and what you do here.
Okay, well, Track of the Tiger, we're what we call a tourism resources development company. So our interests in tourism are quite diverse, from educational centres, outdoor educational centres, restaurants, other tourism-related business, but with a focus on sustainable tourism. This particular project is called Pang Sung Lodge. It's an outdoor education and research centre. It's on 50 rai of land, about 30 acres of land, and it's built right at the start of a nature trail which is owned and operated by the local villagers.
The government seems to interest to do restoration underneath the park.
And this has the undergrowth and everything else, and doesn't have, so this is well planned out and doesn't have the problem of a one species planting like pine.
Yes.
There are a lot of NGOs, foundations and interested people helping with poverty alleviation and the development of the rural peoples in northern Thailand and other places. Unfortunately, a lot of the time the interventions they have are not properly recorded or documented so that they can be used as evidence for carrying that on elsewhere. What we'd like to try and do here, for example, when we talk about forest augmentation, we want to bring in tree species that were native to this area but are no longer here. We want to sort of replant rattan, bamboo, spinaches, forest crops, etc., that you can put within the forest and harvest without chopping down the forest.
What kind of maintenance is required?
We will do the maintenance for 3 times in the rainy season, weeding and fertilizer them.
Weeding and fertilizer. Who does that?
The villager will be the main labor help for us. And the university will support for the budget.
So they are paid to do this work.
Yes.
Once it's built, then you would have local people. They're all employed as many of them are employed as guides along the trail. Outside of that, we have a forest augmentation program here. We're trying to reintroduce the natural spinaches and local food of the area, trying to reintroduce that here and raise its value. We'll sell it on from here with the community, sell it down to a restaurant on the main road that will promote specifically northern Thai dishes. Once we've finished with this nature trail project, obviously we will look further afield along this whole mountain range to see if the other villages want to work with it.
Marketing is what we need. I mean, even the villager have the building here, and we have some tourists go around. But marketing is the problem that we lacking of. So I think the national park and the government here interested in this area to how to promote this area to be known for the people around the world.
In the not too distant future, we will move the student accommodation and services facilities from where they are now over to this area, sort of 100 or so, 150 meters from the lodge as it is at present, and we will build the student accommodation along this face here. So this will be their recreational area, so that we can separate that from our other markets.
We're ending our afternoon visit here to this UNESCO biosphere, and as you could see, we're now at the Nursery and Educational Center, and also partially funded by WWF. They introduce us to your colleague here.
He is Kuneng. Neng is his name. He is our manager of the nursery here. He is Hmong people.
Excellent. And you've been just sitting down doing some business to reconcile the payment for the work that the village workers have performed in the last month?
Actually, for the last month as well. And then next month we have the planting event. And then Kuneng have to manage about site preparation. And then we clear the business about that.
As a wrap-up, I'd like to talk out loud as part of Tourism Ventures 21 Innovation for Sustainable Development Initiative. Talk about some possible ideas of how the private sector with the public sector can work with a destination like this in a rural, poor area that's trying to go through a transition and make tourism part of that transition. As you've seen, they just started, and what I think they need now is a bigger player partner, an airline possibly, a hotel group, that will participate and draw attention to the opportunities for interested visitors that would like, for example, to hike, and for tour operators and other organizations to put together programs that would involve tourists coming here and hiking, or helping locals build hiking trails, such as Shane does at Track of Tigers. The visitors can come and help as volunteers teach some of the young people English, so that as more tourists come, there will be more jobs available requiring language skills. All part of one experience that ties in, has to involve many cross-sector stakeholders. Thank you very much. Best of luck. Until next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye,
Welcome.
Pam.